Reading a book by Cupiderosbooks, Video 5, or Chapter 5. Narrators. Never trust the narrator of a story or novel or poem or even a movie. Keep your ears open. It is the narrator's job to manipulate the reader. For this reason, they tend to be notorious liars. Narrators are only one person's opinion about all the other characters. For example, sometimes in a story, we do not really know what is happening between the main characters. This should make us think hard about the views expressed by the narrators. Also, the narrator can describe a character as being totally different from the way the character describes herself or himself. A helpful technique is to ask yourself, what if this antagonist was the narrator? What if the heroine was the narrator? What if the fly on the wall or the camera was the narrator? What would she or he say? What would the camera say? What would the heroine say? Or what if this other minor character was the narrator? How would the story read then? Also ask how the author actually wrote the novel, story, poem, novella, or the movie. Be aware that narrators can side with, against, or be neutral toward the protagonist or main character. Which side is your narrator on? Why? Does this narrator ever switch sides during the middle of the story? What does the narrator want for this story? What is the tone of the narrator? If you implicitly trust narrators, you need to ask yourself why. Narrators are not under any obligation to tell the truth in a story and really do serve the purpose of the author. This is one of the reasons why fake news is believed. Fake news is believed because the narrators of the fake news is believed. So if you're going to always trust the narrator, no matter who the person is, because they keep changing them in the major news networks, you will always end up in a situation where you're be given fake news. They try to get you to like these narrators, these people on the news. They try to make them friendly. They bring you into their home every day. They try and make you feel comfortable with them. They tell you these people are your friends. You get little personal anecdotes about them. None of this means that the narrator or these news people are going to tell you the truth. What terms and words does the narrator use? How does the narrator structure the novel or story? Does the narrator use amplification, taking simple sentences and making them add-on sentences packed full of information? The government agent died becomes the government agent died with regrets after a career where he traveled to 30 countries and participated in 10 wars and 5 unofficial wars to serve his country. Narrators must use a point of view. It could be 1 inside a character. It could be 2 outside of all characters. The outside of all characters is reportedly the journalistic point of view. Inside and outside of all characters, that would be the omniscient point of view. Inside multiple characters, one at a time, each with a chapter or their own chapter. When you are reading a book, you want to listen to which point of view the narrator is using. Pick 2 different novels or stories. Read the first page of one, then read the first page of the other novel or story. Can you pick up the narrator's tone, mood, attitude, interest, doubt, or disinterest? 9 questions to ask about tone, the attitude of thinking or feeling about a topic or person. Characterize the tone, emotional mood, attitude of the narrator. If the narrator took a scary tone, how does that change the story? If the narrator took a humorous tone, how does that change the story? If the narrator took a detached tone, how would that change the story? If the narrator took a spiritual story tone, how does that change the story? If the narrator took a materialistic tone, how does that change the story? If the narrator took a feminist tone, how does that change the story? Does the narrator take different tones for different characters, and why do you think they do that? Does the narrator take a different tone when talking about setting, theme, and plot? This ends Book 5, Video 5 of Reading a Book by Cupiderus.